So last a few days, Sayadaw has been expounding the important text that the observation of the mental and physical phenomena from moment to moment then bring about the enlightenment according to the Pali text. And so in this case, the formula, the most important formula is observing the moment, observing phenomena, the moment they take place. Then only can you be able to see the real phenomena. And also Sayadaw explained the every noting, every moment of observing the factors of the path is involved. So which are called Pupa Bhaga Maganga, preliminary factors of the lower Pupa. So each and every notion includes these factors. And that also explained by Sayadaw yesterday. Especially Sadu Sajja Kamatana, how we observe the fourfold noble truth as a meditation, or how we apply four noble truth to our practice. So yesterday explained Sayadaw about these fourfold noble truth, and which can be applied to our practice. So this is these four noble truths are divided into two parts: the mundane and supramundane. So the first two are mundane, and they can be observed. The last two are supramundane. So it should not be applied as a meditative object. So every notion we are developing the four noble experiences, four noble truths. That means while we are noting, we can experience the mind and the body in terms of their characteristics. That's experiencing the Dukkha Sajja. And also we can overcome craving, which can be arising on the mental and physical phenomena if we fail to note them. So that craving also eradicated to some extent. So in this way we can overcome the Saburiya Sajja, the cause of suffering. And in this way, we can also set to experience the cessation or the suffering, Nirvana Desa, and at the same time we are practicing the path to the cessation or the suffering. So every notion can be set. We are developing the four noble truths. So if we see the dukkha, suffering, which represents the mental and physical phenomena, we can see the rest noble truth too. So finally, when we attain mega enlightenment, we can experience the ultimate peace of Nibbana. Then spontaneously or simultaneously, we can realize the rest three. So out of the four noble truths, if you realize one, the rest three are spontaneously accomplished. So if you practice enough, you can accomplish your purpose within days. You don't need to take even a month, because every notion involve the factors or the noble path. So to observe the mental and physical phenomena with the aiming and a strong concentration, so you are supposed to observe whatever activity you do from moment to moment. So when your mind is focused to an object, and then these factors of the noble path unanimously functioning. So here, out of the factors of noble path, the one important factor is the samadhi and concentration. So we need to learn what is samadhi and what the obstacle or hindrance to the samadhi. So now Sayadaw is going to explain about the samadhi and its 6 kinds of obstacles. So when we go somewhere, the dangerous area, and where there are enemies, so we have to learn how to avoid the confrontation with the enemies and how to protect ourselves, prevention, and how to make the enemies weaker and weaker, and finally how to get rid of our enemies. So in the same way, when our journey, Vipassana journey, there are also the enemies. So some enemies which are transgressive form of mental defilements can be overcome through the morality and sila. But certain enemies, especially the dormant form or the mental enemies, mental defilements, cannot be eradicated. We cannot uproot such a dormant form of mental enemies, mental defilements. So we have to prevent our mind from those mental enemies which can take place when the conditions are met. So this is a Vipassana through which we can protect our mind, or through which we can protect the dormant form of mental defilement from becoming active. So when we are confronted with the mental enemies, mental defilements, we have to apply our concentration to overcome it by noting the moment they take place. Actually, regarding the dormant form of mental defilement, Vipassana cannot help us to uproot. But through the Vipassana, we can make them weaker and weaker. So finally, Vipassana can lead us to the enlightenment of Megaphala, and then we can eradicate, we can get rid of those dormant forms or the mental defilements. Then only we can, our life is safe and secure from the enemies of the mental defilement, which can lead us to the lower path. So it is very important for all of us to eradicate the mental defilements which can lead us to the lower path. So on our Dhamma journey, we need to know what are the enemies to our practice and how to prevent, how to. Now Sayadaw is going to explain how that in detail. So this method of how to overcome the enemies are mentioned in the Pali text for Paṇḍitā by the Venerable Sariputta, which is the chief disciple of the Buddha. And also Mahasi Sayadaw explained that discourse in detail from practical and theoretical aspect. So it is really encouraging and gratifying. Actually, in brief, the six kind of the enemies or obstacles to the concentration. So first of all, the two kinds of the objects connected with the past and the future, they often interact with the concentration. So they are enemies of the concentration. We may often think of what we have, someone we met in the past, or we see, we hear, we imagine, we think of what we had in the past. So in this way, the mind is led back to the past. So the concentration is destroyed. So that's called in Pali Vipassana. So the mind goes after the past and becomes restless. And how to overcome that problem is to draw back your mind to the present object. You must live at the present moment, and then you can keep your mind away from the thinking of the past experiences. So another problem is future. Sometimes we are dreaming of the future, the prospect. So then also our mind become reckless, unstable. So the concentration cannot take place. So the thinking or dreaming of the future or expecting for the future also very obstacle or the hindrance to the concentration. So these are the first two obstacles to the concentration or enemies to the concentration, which are connected to the past experiences and future experiences. So some yogis, they are wasting their time thinking the past events or past experiences. It can be compared to a bull or cow that they chewing the grass that they had eaten before. So normally the cow and the bulls, sometimes they don't eat anything, but they take it out what they have eaten before and enjoy the chewing. So in the same way, some yogis, they are enjoying the thought of the past, just like the way the cow and the bull do. So to draw a conclusion, as a yogi, you are not supposed to think of the past events or experiences, or nor the future, nor dreaming of the future events and experiences. So all you need to do is to live at the present moment, to observe the present object. So the second couple of enemies to the concentration is the mental state inactive mental state. It's Bali called Dina Chaita. So sometimes our mind is not active, not energetic, is fatigue or tired. So such an inactive mental state is normally followed by laziness. So that's why laziness is called Kosaja. So that Kosaja is defined in the Pali text as the disgusting behavior. So if your mind is not active and you are not also, your behavior is not very fresh and not very active, and you behave in a lazy, disgusting manner. So that's why such a mental state is called Kosaja, the laziness or the disgusting manner. So to overcome such a laziness or such the inactive mental state, so all we need to do is we have to boost up our energy in such a way that the laziness is eradicated or overcome. And the second enemy or the second group is overactive or over-enthusiasm or excitement. So sometimes our mind is very excited or overexcited. Then the over-enthusiasm results in the restlessness of mind or recklessness of mind. Then our mind cannot be well focused in the object and mind scattered. Mind goes here and in a scattered manner. So the remedy or remedy to that mental state is relax. Relax our mind in such a way that over-enthusiasm is overcome. So in brief, when our mind is not active or not fresh, then we have to make it active in such a so the teacher also should encourage the yogis to arouse the energy in such a way yogi's mind become active. So sometimes the over-enthusiasm, overactive, then yogi should be relaxed. It's important to relax. And then also the teachers should give instruction or guidance to relax yogi. So that's the purpose. We have to see the teacher for interview so that we can get the suitable advice according to the situation. So we have to adjust our practice or mental state, some fine-tuning we have to make so that our mind becomes stable and undisturbed by the enemies. So the last couple on the enemies to the concentration is the expectation and dismay or disappointment. So when you expect for the spiritual achievement, so that thought also interfere with the concentration and can make the concentration weaker and weaker. And also that thought is followed by the raga by the craving or the attachment. When you expect for something remarkable, something special regarding your practice, then that is the type of craving or attachment. So that's also hindrance or obstacle to the concentration, a type of enemy to concentration. So all you need to do is just to note it, observe it, and then you can overcome it. Then your mind becomes stable and tranquil. Concentration is formed. So another problem is the opposite problem is Paṇḍitā in Pali. That is the opposite problem. When you cannot make progress in practice after having practiced for long, months or years, then definitely you will feel disappointed or you will get tired of the practice. And you want to give up the practice, so that's called the Anapana. So such a Paṇḍitā mental state is followed by the aversion or disappointment or dismay. So this one is another extreme point, another extreme problem. So all we have to do is we have to note it as it is, and we can overcome such a disappointment or the dismay, and then our mind becomes stable and well concentrated on the object and become tranquil. So all we need to do is to observe the objects which are newly occurring to us from moment to moment. So while we are making an attempt to do so, we should not expect anything, even the ultimate peace of Nibbana. During the meditation practice, we should not think of even the ultimate peace of Nibbana. So not to mention the lesser benefits. So in brief, the first one is the first one or the dark couple is not to have any expectation for anything, even for Nibbana during the meditation practice. So because when you make some progress in practice, you find something remarkable, then you start to expect something special. So it's very important not to expect for anything. And then sometimes you may not make progress, or you may think you cannot make progress in practice. Then you may tire of the practice, you may be disappointed about the practice. That's another extreme point, another problem. So all you need to do is just to observe it and overcome that mental state. So now you have learned the enemies or the problems, obstacles to the concentration, and remedy or antidote how to overcome that problem. So the most important is to observe the present objects which are newly arising from moment to moment. So now you have learned six kinds of enemy to the concentration and the antidotes, the respective antidote. And so just to follow the instruction without expecting or without being disappointed. And you must be true to yourself. You must be honest and true to yourself and make the effort, put the effort in the practice. And in this way you can sow the Dhamma seed in your heart. And also you can produce the Dhamma generation in the future. So it's a very important, in conclusion, Sayadaw says it's very important to follow the instructions carefully with the faith and confidence and make effort. And conclusion Sayadaw make which may you be able to achieve the ultimate goals following the instructions. So that's all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.